Welcome to the Idaho Business Podcast, the only Idaho podcast focused on providing profits for Idaho people. If you love our state and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast with your friend, host, and all-around great guy and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm here with Jackson Wood. This guy is not just a financial advisor, but he's a financial wizard. That's what I have on my phone is under the contact, so it's got to be true. And I've seen him in real life in action, and I know it's true. This guy is, financial strategy is unmatched. He has just crazy levels of intelligence when it comes to financial planning and seeing into the future for your personal profiles and even when it comes to your business finances and stuff. He's been very valuable for all that kind of stuff. He's also one of the nation's experts on cryptocurrency. And a few months ago, he just interviewed RFK. You were flown down to Dallas, Texas, and you interviewed RFK about cryptocurrency. You didn't even know it was going to be RFK until you got down there.
Yeah, we were in Austin. I wanted to ask him about brisket instead of Bitcoin. But it was a fun time talking with RFK, and he's a smart guy. I like him.
Well, good. Well, yeah. So obviously, he's born in Utah, but he's an Idaho boy now, and he lives right here in Pocatello. So we're happy to have him here. So welcome to the show again, Jackson. We're happy to have you.
Appreciate you, man. I'm going to record that intro you just gave and force my wife to listen to it over and over again.
Beautiful.
I have a hard time living up to that one, but thanks, man. Happy to be on the podcast again.
All right, cool. Before we get into the nitty gritty, we all have to mention our sponsors. We're sponsored by Health West. Great organization, great health organization. Take your loved ones, your friends to these guys. Google where they're closest to you, because right now they're spread out throughout Idaho. Give them a Google, find where they're closest to you, give them a try. We're also sponsored by our companies, New Clean Commercial Cleaning and Commercial Cleaning Services. And give us a call at 208-254-7070. And if you say that you saw us or you heard about us on the podcast, we will offer you some service for free. Most likely right now, because you can hear the tone of my voice, I'm just getting over the seasonal cold. We'll probably do some office sterilization, absolutely free, no strings attached, just by saying you heard about us on the podcast. Okay, Jackson, let's get into it, man. I don't have the financial expert on my show very often because it's hard to get people of your caliber to sit down with me. But now that I've got you here, we need to talk about this stuff because the topic I'm thinking of today is as business owners, we run our businesses and we think, we got to run these businesses. We can't show any profit because we don't want to pay any taxes to Uncle Sam, and then we complain at the end of the day thinking, oh, I don't have any money for myself, or I'm not putting any money aside for myself, and having these pipe dreams that, hey, 10, 15, 20 years from now, I'm going to be able to sell for millions and that'll be my retirement. Let's get into this. So what would you say to someone maybe mid-20s into 30s running his company or her company, trying to play that tax game, but also trying to plan for their future when they're not working?
Yeah, this is a really good problem to have. So I like framing it that way because the people that are in this situation that heard what you just said and it's applicable to them, that means that they're building a business, they're doing something, building value in their business or want to build a business. And then you get into more of kind of the nice problems to have or the good problems to have, which is, I'm making all this money. Now I have to balance this idea of we hate paying taxes. We don't want to pay more than we have to. So we can go through these tax, planning sessions and eliminate our tax, which is great. It results in, keeping more of your hard-earned money in the business or in your own personal life. But at the same time, you have to balance that across the seesaw with, okay, how do I make sure I'm putting some money away for me in the future? And I think you nailed it where you said a lot of people will build the business and focus on it exclusively for 10, 15, 20 years with the idea that, hey, my kids are going to take this over at some point, or I'll sell this and that's my retirement plan. What if that doesn't happen? So what can you do along the way while planning for an exit or a sell at some point? But if that doesn't happen, ensure that you're going to be okay, that you have enough, that you've done everything you can over there. So there are a lot of things that come to mind, especially if you're very, very aggressive on your tax deduction. So one of the facts financially about the United States is that most retired people, their main source of income comes from Social Security. Right? Ever since we got our first job at 18, we pay into Social Security. And when you turn 62, you're eligible to receive that money back. Right. And it's a guaranteed income for life. It's very stable. And the vast majority of retired individuals in the US rely on that for a good portion of their income. If you're a business owner and you're not paying yourself, you're showing all these write-offs, you're running everything through the business, and you're not showing earned income at the end of the day, or very little earned income, you're not contributing any money into that Social Security trust account. And so what you're doing is, you could be making a ton of money in your business, but you're not accruing any credits, so that when you turn 62, your benefit will be very, very small compared to, a lot of other people, W-2 employees or wage. So that's just one key example of this kind of balance that you need to go through as a business owner to maximize future benefit, and, allow yourself comfort and security in the future while also being aggressive on the tax. And that, we go through lots of different examples. That was just the first one that popped into my mind. Yeah. And it's you have to play. There's no right or wrong answer, but you have to understand, if I do this now and I'm really aggressive, so what am I doing to replace that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great example. People out there are probably thinking two things. One is like, you're talking about, I'm making all this money as a business owner. Well, that could be true, or that could not be true. Number one, if you're not making, a decent amount of money as a business owner, and you've been in business for, 5-10 years, and you're in demand, and you are constantly, doing jobs, or your services and products are being sold, you need to look at your systems and your product prices to see, hey, can I make adjustments to make this company more profitable? And then the second thing you're thinking of is, well, yeah, I'm doing that because I don't want to pay taxes, So, but you're not thinking as the 70-year-old man or woman that you're going to be. And it happens to all of us. It happened to me at the beginning too. So yeah, Jackson, continue on with what you're talking about here. This is great.
Yeah, and one of the living the American dream in my mind is building a business, controlling your schedule, being financially set. And I think that that's pure. The most pure expression of that is being an entrepreneur and running your own business. So there are people out there, especially if you're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast, like you're in that world, right? And that's very, very commendable. One of my favorite sayings is that concentration will build wealth. So the biggest ROI that anybody will get is in their own craft, right? Whether that's building your business, turning your skills as a plumber into whatever it is, right? The best ROI you're going to get isn't going to come from the market. It's not going to come from picking the hot stock or picking the next cryptocurrency. It's going to be from your craft and building a business around your skill set and what you are good at. That's where the wealthiest people in the world have come from, the most successful. But the second part of that saying is that, so first part is concentration builds wealth. Diversification preserves wealth. And so when you think about, having all of your eggs in one basket, right up until the sell, logically, if you go down that path, once you sell the business, you're going to diversify. You're not going to roll it into the next illiquid business or go buy something else. You're probably going to diversify, buy some stocks, buy some bonds, buy some CDs, some money markets, buy some real estate, diversify your portfolio so that you've got eggs in different baskets and you're not going to lose it all or risk it all, especially if you've made it. And that, I think everybody's on the right track when they think about that. Concentration builds wealth, diversification preserves wealth. But the area that I see a lot of people get that wrong is they wait until the sell happens in order to diversify. And so what you can do along the way, as you're cash flowing and making money and your business is growing, you can take small pieces of that profit and that income that you're getting, and you can start building that diversified portfolio outside of it. And that does two things. It preserves your wealth because it's not all concentrated into one single business or one single asset that is at risk. You've got multiple asset classes, multiple different sectors happening, plenty of diversification. So you're going to preserve the wealth along the way, but it also gives you a safety net in the event that the business doesn't sell, in the event that you can't find a buyer, right? And you were telling me earlier about some of the stats you have about businesses not selling. You've got to be thinking strategically every step of the way. And it's this fine line between giving everything you have to help your business grow and reach its potential, but also saying, okay, what about my safety plan? What about my safety net? What about, even think of family or spouses, right? If you were the main breadwinner running this business and you were to pass away, what does your spouse have aside from this business that they've never run to be okay with, to be protected with? And so it in no form should be discouraging from focusing and building on your business and refining your craft and getting that good ROI. It's just, what additional concepts can I implement now that I have some success to make it even better and even safer, and the likelihood of me being financially free at an older age be even higher than it is if I stay completely focused and concentrated in one specific asset.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned those stats, and yeah, it's true. It's only 70% of business owners leave without selling their businesses.
Yeah.
So only 30% sell. And most of the time, the reason those sales aren't happening is there's a few different factors. Sometimes, especially in this generation, some people don't know that they can sell their business. That's actually one I just heard of. That was, crazy to me to think that. But that's a real thing that's happening right now. People don't know that they can actually sell their business. Number two, they're running it in a way that no one can get traditional financing for, and then they don't have any creative buyers out there to help them understand any other type of financing. And then there's other reasons out there, but a lot of these 70% will have to just liquidate their companies and get 80 cents on the dollar of the stuff that they're liquidating. And
yeah, I mean, if they're lucky,
so it's just like,
and a lot of businesses, that third option you said, liquidation, that works if the business that you run is very asset heavy, right? If you've got trucks and trailers and dump trucks and rollers and equipment or property or whatever. But a lot of businesses are blue sky, right? They're, contracts that can't be liquidated, and relationships that you've built. And so I think it's worth, I don't want to go on a tangent here, but that second point you said, they can't find buyers that can come with traditional financing. I think that's worth hammering out a bit.
Yep.
Because, when you're getting ready to sell your business, most business buyers don't have cash. They don't have $3 million to just write a check and give it to you and buy the business. What they're trying to do is secure funding from either investors or the SBA to, get a loan to then go out and buy your business and give you the cash. Then they own the business. And so what happens for these business owners is a couple of things. Like, they've been so aggressive on their tax deductions that their net income is very, very low. right? They've purposely made the business look like it's not making that much money. They're taking full advantage of the tax code and doing nothing illegal or shady, but they're just showing very, very little profit on the business. Well, what happens when the buyer is trying to secure financing to buy your business? They don't really care about the revenue or the COGS, or they look at net income, right? They look at EBITDA or net income, and they say, okay, what do we have here? And that's what they're basing their valuation of the business on. And so you can get in this situation as a business owner where you're doing amazing. You're running everything through the business. You've never been audited, but your profit is showing such a low amount that if that's what the SBA or these investors are using to value your business, you're going to get a very, very small amount, if any at all.
That's right. Because investors and banks, for sure, all they look at is tax returns. They don't, they'll look at your P&L and that kind of stuff, but they want to see what are you reporting to the government as far as what your income is.
Because you might be saying, "Well, I've got so many add backs," or if you just take out of the costs, the things that are kind of personal, those aren't going to hold the same weight when you're your business is getting underwritten by an appraiser as you do. So you almost need to think forward where, if you run the business for 20 years, for 10 years, you can be very aggressive on taxes and get your net income as low as possible. Then that you're paying less in tax. But prior to selling, if you want that just large cash infusion from someone that can pay cash or finance the business, you need to prepare for that well in advance of that actual exit date, or else you're looking at more creative, seller financing strategies if you find the right buyer.
Yep. And you're looking at 3 to 4 years at least of really clean books, really clean, reporting of profits to the government, showing those type of profits if you want to get, looked at for an acquisition. Because that's what they look at. They look at the last 3 years of business, they average those EBITDAs out and say, oh, this is the average EBITDA. You can't just say, oh, look at this year alone. My last year, I've just grown so much. You got to add some more money on. Well, unfortunately, it depends on the buyer you're talking with, but most of the time they're looking at just the average between the EBITDA of the last 3 years. So
exactly. Yep. And the better, the more clean your books are, the higher your valuation will be.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And the more hands off you are as an owner, the higher your valuation will be, So that's good. I know we need to wrap up here a little bit, Jackson, but I want to hit on one thing too that said there was one stat here that said a survey revealed that 37% of small business owners believe that they don't make enough money or enough profit to save for retirement. And that we go back to, hey, if you've listened to this podcast enough, or you can listen to even Jackson's podcast as a Mailbox Money, there are so many takeaways that you can take from these different episodes that'll help you be more profitable as a business owner. Because don't just say, hey, I don't have enough money, I'm going to run this business forever, but I don't have enough money for retirement. I just have, hand to mouth. It's a horrible way to think, a horrible way to live. So change up your systems. Don't do it just because that's the way your dad did it, your mom did it, grandma did it, that's how you have to do it. No, that's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. You got to make some changes to your systems. You got to up your prices. You got to slim down your overhead. You got to do what you got to do to make some more money.
I got a quick little story if we got time.
You do it.
Okay. In investing, the cardinal sin is interrupting compounding interest. So as a business owner, pulling a little bit of money out to put away in your name outside of the business for the future, in a retirement account or investment account of some sort, the worst thing that you can do is interrupt that compounding. So I picked my nephew up late at night, like a month ago. He went out to do summer sales, knocking doors, selling pest control to pay for his next semester of college. So I pick him up and we grab a burger in and out. And he says to me, I got my college paid. He's 18 or 19. I got my college paid for this next semester. I've got $5,000 extra. I know about investing in stocks and all that. What should I do? And I said, he's like, what if I put this to work? Okay. So we talked about the scenario of putting $5,000 away. And we said, what if you can get from age 20 to age 65, you can get the market rate of return, which is just under 10%, right? So bear with me in the example I'm using. What's that going to be worth by the time you turn 65? And the answer was $3 million, $5,000, nothing else going in, letting it compound and grow at a market rate of return, $3 million. So he's like, man, I'm going to do that. I'll help. I said, yeah, I'll help you out. I'll show you how to do it. He got really, really excited about it. Then he falls asleep. We're driving home. I'm listening to a podcast. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning at this point, and like on a Friday night. And then he sits up out of the chair and he's like, hey, I was thinking about it. And I was like, no, you weren't. You were just dead asleep. What are you talking about? You weren't thinking about it. He's like, no, I was. If I could do $5,000 this year, and then I could do $5,000 the next year, because I'm going to go back and sell, pest control. Hopefully I pay for college if I come up with $5 extra grand. What's going to happen if I put that away? So then that's one less year of compounding. But I ran the numbers to the time he turns 70. And he's very, very quickly approaching $10 million invested with that runway. So there are 3 levers that you need to pull and play around with when it comes to saving for your future. And it can be small amounts. I'm not talking like you have to save 120, 150 grand a year. I mean, we're talking small increments, but the earlier you start, so the length of your runway is the first factor. If you've got late to the game, then you need to up the second lever, which is your amounts that you're investing, right? If you have a very, very long runway, you can invest smaller amounts and let compounding do its thing. And then rate of return is the third lever. So if you've got a short runway, then we know, I either need to get a higher rate of return or I need to be putting more money away. If you've got a very long runway, then you can put less money away and get a lower return and still end up with a ton of money. So ideally, all business owners can figure out a way to just never interrupt that compounding engine, put some money away, whether it's a ton of money, that's going to give you more, or a small amount of money, just something needs to go away and be compounding, and then just let it grow. And then ideally you get to the situation where you've got this diversified portfolio safety net to protect you, plus you can sell the business because you've been focusing on it, and you get kind of like this double windfall where you've prepared your plan B in small increments over a long period of time. And then also you get this big influx of cash when you sell the business, and then you've got total freedom, total security. But if one of those doesn't happen, you don't want to be without anything, right? You want to be doing, so it's all about that balancing game.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Great example for people to chew on as they leave this podcast episode. So thanks, Jackson, for coming on the show today and leaving us with some knowledge.
I appreciate you, man. Anytime.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, as always, guys and gals, go out there, be happy, be grateful, find opportunities to serve others. It's the Christmas holidays week that you're listening to this, so enjoy your holiday break. Enjoy your loved ones, and get ready for the new year. Adios, everyone. See you later.
Congratulations on spending a couple of minutes getting a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Idaho business community. If you're feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.